Hello everybody, welcome back to the shop. So today I got a little maintenance item here on the farm, and normally I don't film this kind of stuff because it's just a little bit on the routine side, but this one has a little bit of interesting twist and we might have a few tips and tricks in here, so I thought I'd video this for you. Many of you that watch this channel or follow Do Right Builder on Instagram know that behind the shop we have a sink. And that sink is used for general farm use around here, washing chicken eggs, washing hands. My wife is very funny about me coming in the house dirty, which, to be honest, happens a lot. So it's a good spot for me to go clean up before I go inside the house and get in a lot of trouble. Well, this sink has started backing up recently. And the reason it started backing up is when I put that sink in about 7 years ago, I never really envisioned things going the way they have. The way I dealt with the wastewater coming out of the sink, which it's just gray water, there's no doo-doo in the water, it's just hand washing water. I took a plastic 55-gallon drum that was cut in half the long way and buried it in the ground and ran the wastewater into it. It's worked great for many years. However, at the same time, I really never visioned the back of the shop being a traffic area. Not meaning cars, but tractors, our Kawasaki mule. The children use it a lot in that area. So what's happened is that plastic drum has started to collapse in. Now, it's not the end of the world, right? It's just hand washing water. But I do want to get it fixed because the kids do use it a lot. So here's what I've come up with for the repair. What you see here is a stainless steel 55-gallon drum. Now, don't everybody freak out that I'm cutting up a good 55-gallon drum. The reason I have this here is many years ago when I used to be a beekeeper, I was going to build a honey extractor to extract honey out of the hives. Never got to that project before I decided I didn't want to keep bees anymore. So this thing has been sitting around. This drum has been modified so that it has a round bottom, so that all the honey would go to the bottom and we'd be able to pull it out with a pump to use to process the honey. We could make this drum sit flat again, but it would require a lot of work, and when you work these barrels, sometimes they start to leak around the seam at the bottom, so it's okay. I mean, let's be honest, it's been sitting around and I have it. Also, a pretty sizable dent here in the side. Again, not a deal breaker. I know a guy who works with metal. I'm pretty sure we could figure out how to get that dent back out of there. This is paid for, it's here, and I have it, so that's what we're going to use. Plus, this is a lifetime drum. Why? This is a 3/16 stainless steel drum. This is a food grade drum. This drum will probably never rust. It'll last my lifetime in the ground, but I want to change the setup just a little bit. I want to increase the capacity of that leach field. I'm basically going to double it. Here's how I'm going to do that. I'm going to take this drum and I'm going to split it down the sides, all the way down the sides and across the bottom, essentially making two halves. I'm then going to take these two halves together because this is an open top drum, and I'm going to weld it together. That doubles the capacity of my leach field. Plus, this one I don't suspect to cave in nearly as easy because A, it's stainless steel, and B, it has some pretty substantial ribs in it. Any of you that follow me on Instagram under Do Right Builder, if you don't, be sure to follow me, know that my 8-year-old son, Bo, has wanted to learn welding for a while, and we've been working together teaching him TIG. So I thought this would be a really perfect project to let him get a little bit of TIG time in. Why? Well, it's going to be buried in the ground. No one's going to ever see the welds, and as a beginning welder, you mess up a lot. It doesn't really matter if he messes up a lot, because Dad can come behind it and fix it and make sure it's stuck together good. And this stainless steel drum, who's going to see it but you guys? If you've ever watched the video making the jib for my backhoe to lift up and set the trusses when I built the barn, you saw me use this. But if not, this is called a Curvo mark. You know, you don't have to have one of these. I have one of these for a different reason. But basically, it's a flexible tape measure. And what we're going to do is we're going to measure the circumference of this drum. We're going to divide that number in half and then follow it around and mark equal spots on each side. Those are going to be our cut lines. We're going to cut on the weld on this side. We're going to cut on the opposite side. Here's how we're going to cut this. We're going to use a cutoff wheel. Now, I know folks are going to say, well, I'd use a plasma cutter. I don't want to put that much work into that. Remember, we're burying this thing in the ground. So what I'm going to do is use a cutoff wheel, and I'm going to plunge cut, and I'm going to cut to about here. I'm going to leave a very narrow strip of metal here on the rib. I'm going to plunge cut again, cut across here, little narrow strip, plunge cut till I get to the bottom ring or bottom chime, and I'm going to leave that ring in place. I'll cut across the bottom and repeat the process on the other side. When you cut long pieces of sheet metal, a lot of times that sheet metal has a tendency to vibrate vibrate or shake and then pinch the cutoff wheel. So if we leave just a real narrow strip of metal here, like 1/8 of an inch or less, it acts to hold everything steady until we've got all the big pieces cut. Then we can come back and just cut right through these real simple. We have 2 halves and it doesn't get squirrely and crazy on us. All right, everybody, we got this thing cut in half. What you saw me using was a diamond cutoff wheel on the grinder. Really like those wheels. They last a really, really long time. They do good on hard materials. I like the stainless. The only drawback to them is they leave a nasty, nasty burr. I don't know if you can see this, but it's like razor, razor sharp. So what I want to do is just take the grinder and just knock the burr off. I'm not trying to make anything beautiful at this point. We're going to weld on it and bury it in the ground. However, I do want to keep the safety concerns down to a minimum because my young son's going to be in here. What I'm going to use today is a flap wheel, just a common flap wheel. This is an Osborne wheel. It's a 40 grit. I like these Osborne wheels. They're made in Germany and they last a long time. They seem to do really well for me. These sharp edges have a tendency to eat up these flap wheels. That's why I like these Osbornes. They seem to last a little bit longer than the standard flap disc. So we're going to slap it on and give it a try. Well, my son's home from school, so we're going to do a little welding. As you can see, I've already tack welded this together. Now, I know that might be some people cheating a little bit, but let's be honest, he's just a beginner. He hasn't done a lot of this. Stainless is hard. The last thing you want to do is start him off with a tough job and get a real bad impression or a bad taste in his mouth. So I've gone ahead and tacked everything together. They're just a bunch of little tiny tack welds all the way around here. Enough to hold everything in place for him so he doesn't have to fight the metal trying to move. Now, what we're going to do is go jump in our safety gear. We're going to start welding on this. Stainless can let off chromium 6 or hexavalent chromium, and it's dangerous. Anytime I weld stainless in my shop, I have a couple of big fans that I always have running, changing out the atmosphere in here. Ventilate yourself or remove the fume from where you're welding. In this case, we're going to have the fans running, changing out the atmosphere in this room a couple of times, every minute, so we'll be good to go. Well, folks, as you can see, I've had some helpers back here that are loving to dig in the dirt. Jesse, are you helping dig? Are you digging, buddy? I think he's filling in more than he's been digging, but that's okay. So you can see here, here's the drain pipe that comes out from the sink. It goes into these 55-gallon drums that Bo and I welded together. Nobody's ever going to see them, and it was good practice for an 8-year-old. We do have fall going away, so what'll happen is the water will come in this side and it'll run and build down there and come this way. That way the greases and solids, as they start to coat the floor, they'll build up there and still allow us a lot of good drain area this direction. It's another do-right job done. Now all we got to do is keep these guys over here digging, and my work gets a lot easier. So we're gonna call it a job done. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you real soon. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed what you saw here today. Be sure to subscribe to my channel and like us on Facebook. Please, somewhere down below here is a link. See you soon.